AQ's loading cargo on a barge. Rog. Oh, we've got sentries on the perimeter.
AQ guards all over the docks.
All right, let's split up. I'll take the outside, you clear the docks, but keep it quiet. Knives on me. I'll meet you at the barge.
Jay, on you go.
It's his phone. Get it. Go on. We haven't much time. We need that phone, guys.
You know, flights are uncomfortable most of the time anyway.
There's a meeting, 1 p.m.
You know,
Might as well. Find Cafe Grect. Something's about to go down.
you away from yourself?
1 hour.
And you're basically in the real world anyway. I mean, you're in the same risk.
Bravo, how copy? Good work. Push forward, see what you can find.
Container truck, room for a missile.
The truck is coming right at you, and this is the oh shit, pull up, right before it hits you.
Okay.
It gets real close.
Real close in it. Okay, great.
Okay.
Nick, pull up! Pull up! Nick, pull up! Pull up!
Great. Yep, second one, and it's super close.
Bit close there, mate!
Yeah, man. One more.
Bit close there, mate!
Great. Yes, the second one. Very good with the effort. Is awesome, man. And yeah. Take a quick breather.
That's why I just can't see it.
Right, you're upside down. Of course. Thank you. And taking our positions. Here we go. Let's. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Here we go. Ready? And action.
Crash.
Deleted scene from Modern Warfare 2.
That's great.
Guys and Price take the leap together.
When you guys stepped into the breach.
Meet Captain Price and Sergeant Garrick. Thanks for the assist. My men need cover fire.
On the derrick.
I don't see him.
On the derrick.
Yeah, last one next.
Tell me where?
Up on the derrick walkway.
What?
Up on
What does that mean?
This is what happens when you, yeah. This is what happens when.
Derek's walkway is like.
Is this going the way that you thought?
Oh man. I don't know. I think you'd punch you or something. This is hilarious.
Yes,
It just got funny. Okay.
Let's get it. Let's get it again. We almost got it, man. We almost got it.
We're good.
Sorry, sir. Not quite clear. Say one more time.
When did Derek get here?
I'm sorry, you're saying something to Derek?
What the hell did Derek do?
Abbott Costello, man. Good.
What did Derek do to us, sir?
All right.
Where is he?
On the derrick walkway. Get this fucking guy already.
So the first thing you want to do when you're creating a Modern Warfare 2 character is have an idea of what that character's intentions and motivations are. You know, we've been really lucky to have military advisors all over the world in order to build these characters, in order to create how we prosecute targets and our tactics and strategies and dialogue. We needed to speak to Mexican military, and I think that's what our audience is looking for when they play the game.
You get a writer to write who the guy is, and then you bring him to life by finding exactly the right person for the job.
This guy right here. My name is Alain Mesa, and I play Colonel Alejandro Vargas. I believe that Alejandro has fought many battles in many lifetimes, and he just happens to be fighting one in 2022 right now. So we all had Zoom auditions, Zoom callbacks.
We're in our reviews trying to look through self-tapes. We see him, we stop it immediately.
We were like, yo, that's Alejandro.
That was my tape.
That was your tape, dude.
Por favor, cálmense, que ya estamos aquí. Ya estamos aquí. Cálmense, cálmense. PID!
Nice.
Nice.
You scan him in, get his facial data, and you do a facial test.
You get a director to direct the actors and to shoot the actors.
We're gonna keep that urgency. Let's make sure we're still on the hunt for this guy.
You create some crazy camera angles, you get everything sequenced out correctly and edited well, and what you end up with is this.
I was blue. Oh, the wild ones. They called us los vaqueros. And you were clean cut. Señores y señoras, las almas need soldiers, not sicarios.
My name is Mark Grigsby. I'm a studio animation director. I say Modern Warfare 2's AI is systemic. What that means is that when you play it, you're engaging with it in a different way almost every time. If you react in a certain way or if you move in a certain way, the AI will react to you in a different way. We wanted the AI to engage with the environment. So one of the takes that we wanted is for the AI to hunt you in a way where it was believable, where you were like, okay, they're thinking about me. They're thinking about where I was, where I'm going to be, and they're preserving their lives, making sure that they're not going to get shot by me, that I'm around the corner.
My name is Sergio Ocio. I'm the AI engineering director. So AI is anything that moves by itself. Enemies, allies that go with you in missions, cars. AI is everywhere in the game.
I'm Stephen Miller. I'm the audio director at Infinity Ward. We start with understanding the tone of the level. We work with design and make sure that we're supporting the overall vibe. The very first thing when we're planning a big field recording trip, we spend months planning the location. We'll do scouting trips to go check out what the area sounds like. For this project, we've recorded weapons of all kinds, small arms, RPG, tank cannon fire, 3 different helicopters, weapon reloads, explosions. Game sound design is one of the most difficult things because for a film or a TV show, it's a linear media. You know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. You can mix for every moment. A game, it's all interactive. You have no idea what the player is going to do. So we have to build all kinds of systems to try and make everything work, regardless of what the player does.
I'm Ashley Thundercliff, and I'm a senior environment artist. So when the design has approved the layout of the map and we're happy with it, and we come in and we transform those blockhouses into full-fledged environments for the players to immerse themselves in. The other problem was balancing the foliage. If we go too dense with the foliage, we have people hide in the corners. If we don't go dense enough, we don't sell the narrative of the overgrowth. So it's all a perfect balance between all departments trying to find the perfect harmony to make sure that we've got a beautiful, realistic looking space, whilst also being fun for the players to enjoy.
My name is Jeffrey Smith. I'm a director of multiplayer design. Farm 18 came out of the idea of we kind of like the shoot house facility map, so we decided to think of hidden training facilities. But it's also in an industrial cement factory. And the idea was, what if we put a shoot house type situation in the middle? If you really want to play that crazy game, you can go to the center and that action will find you. If you want to pull back and play a different way, it's still available to you.
I was blue. Oh, the wild ones. They called us los vaqueros. And you were clean cut. Señores y señoras, las almas need soldiers, not sicarios.
Hi there. I'm Colin Urquhart, co-founder and CEO of DI4D. For over 20 years, DI4D has been delivering high-fidelity 3D and 4D facial capture for movies, video games, and other high-end animation projects. We're super proud to have delivered over 4 hours of high-quality facial animation for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and that's why we're really delighted to be sponsoring this session on the facial animation pipeline used in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which will be given by Sean Comer and Bernardo Antoniazzi. If you're interested in finding out more about the services that DI4D provide, please come and visit us in the Expo Hall. We're in booth S126, so hopefully see you there. But without further ado, I'm delighted to hand over to Sean and Bernardo.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Bernardo Antoniazzi. I've been working with Activision for the last 16 years, 8 of those at Infinity Ward. I focus on character creation pipelines, ads in particular, and the development of capture systems.
I'm Sean Comer. I've been working at Infinity Ward for the past couple of years, and I specialize in numerical optimization and machine learning. I also have like over a decade of experience working in simulation and digidoubles.
All right, so today we're going to talk about digital doubles. So anchoring reality, digital doubles are widely used in offline cinematics and movies. A digital double pipeline has many benefits in authoring and capturing. One of the main benefits is objectivity. So the digital double pipeline objectifies the problem space and allows us to focus on more critical and technical aspects of our related to the performance.
So we had a very short runway to complete development for Faces on Modern Warfare 2, approximately 6 months. We also had limited resources, so our solution needed to be as automated as possible. We're looking to bridge the quality gap between cinematics and runtime deformations. So we researched and evaluated various methods to capture and transfer the actor's performance. For instance, sparse key points or landmark-based tracking didn't offer us the fidelity that we wanted, and it also introduced tracking instability. Tracking dense markers applied to the face was also too cumbersome to meet production deadlines. So we concluded on using dense per-frame reconstructions of the actor's face. And to do this at scale, we contacted DI4D.
Right, for this presentation, we'll focus on Alejandro Vargas, played by Alain Mesa. Alejandro is one of the new characters in the Call of Duty franchise, and he's the first one that went through the new pipeline. Our internal green light is a tech demo that uses DI4D 4D data for the first time. This data was used not only to create the performance, but also the asset and the rig components as well. So here is the result, and during the presentation, we'll explain how we use the DI4D data for it.
Involving the military in counter-narcotics was a mistake. They take what they learn and become narcos. Like her. Ex-military. Special Tactics Force, red team. I was blue. Oh, the wild ones. They called us los vaqueros. And you were clean cut. Señores y señoras. To the raid on the son of La Araña. Her team was supposed to cordon off the city to keep out La Araña's men. That's exactly what they did. They kept out his enforcers because they were his enforcers. You disgraced the army. Tus hermanos. Las almas need soldiers, not sicarios. I'm not doing this. Fuck! I'm not making a deal with her, and I advise you don't either. It won't end well.
Here we see a brief overview of our pipeline, the major topics we'll discuss today. Data capture, the capturing processes and techniques used to collect all the information used as inputs to our pipeline. Processing and asset creation. Here we'll explain how we use this data to generate our assets and process the actor's performance. Solving and compression. Finally, how we transfer the performance back to our rigs and compress the data for runtime.
All right, so this is where we started from. For the last decade, we worked with our team at Activision Central Technology to acquire data with the ICT live stage we have in-house. License data is the gold standard in capturing the appearance for our actors and has been used as foundation for all our assets when it comes to the creation of neutral geometries and textures. The maps generated with the light stage are used in our shading in-game for the creation of wrinkle maps and for tracking when we need to correspond, poses, find a correspondence between the poses. All right, so for a hero facts session, we usually capture around 100 poses. These include the standard facts expressions, phonemes, and emotions. One thing to note is that I asked the actor actually to come with facial hair, if that's going to be part of the likeness in game. Then we capture the look, of course, and then I asked the actor to shave. And after that, we capture all the poses for the creation of the rig. This will ensure a much cleaner reconstruction. All right, license data is perfectly integrated with our tools and is used to model the character's head precisely. We rely heavily on the scan data for the overall volume of the head. And the undistorted images actually provide a very high resolution reference to fill in all the small details that may have been missed during the reconstruction of the scan data. And we actually don't clean up the scan. All right, once the neutral is ready, the model is provided to our team at Activision Central Technology to generate light stage maps directly on our game UV layout. We use albedo and photometric normals. The same mesh is also sent to the F4D and will be adapted and used for tracking for the sequences capturing during the procession. After going through all these steps, the final neutral may be slightly different from compared to the initial one that we captured. So on the shading side, to make sure that the normals in particular are working correctly, between two different data sets, we use a frequency separation method to isolate high frequency details like pores. We can then recombine them with low to mid frequency details derived from the final game mesh at the very end. So this process married the shading data from the light stage and the geometry that we capture, at the F4D. HOLEDs capturing the light stage have been processed consistently for years, allowing us to build a pretty large library of textures, neutral models, and track poses.
A lane and the main cast were captured with a DI4D Pro system, which comprises of 9 synchronized 12 megapixel machine vision cameras. The machine vision data is first processed using photogrammetry to produce a raw 3D sequence, where a 3D scan is reconstructed at each frame of the video data, in this case, 30 frames per second. Then, the retopologized neutral mesh from the light stage is registered to the pro data of the actor with a similar expression to the light stage neutral. Care is taken to transfer the topology accurately so that the light stage neutral and pro neutral are well corresponded. This mesh is then tracked through the whole sequence using optical flow, which results in a nicely corresponded, consistent topology mesh per frame data, which is usually formatted as a point cache. The main advantage of 4D data is that you obtain subtle, co-articulated shapes and not just a sparse set of extreme expressions associated with traditional fact scans. A large number of dynamic expressions are captured with the Pro system as well, as several phonetic pangrams. Pangrams are phrases designed to include all 40 basic sounds or phonemes in the English language, and hence, the mouth shapes required to reproduce them. DI4D utilizes all this 4D data to generate an actor-specific PCA model of facial movements, which it uses later in the pipeline. We also use this 4D data to refine our rigs as follows. Now that we have a large library of data from our capture systems, we use a method of decomposition known as N-mode SVD to produce a multilinear model of identity and expression. The parametric space of the resulting model offers us the ability to synthesize new identities and extrapolate the associated facts expressions needed to build a rig. We use this model to initialize our face rigs, then further supplement the resulting deformations with the captured 4D Pro data later in our pipeline. The time savings we experience here is exponential. Also, it increases quality through its accuracy and allows artists to focus on details that would not normally get any attention. You can imagine that the size of the team needed to sculpt 300 plus shapes for 20 plus hero characters on an aggressive production timeline, all while having to manage that team for consistency. With our approach, we only needed one person, and he's right here.
All right, FaceGen is used as a starting point for the creation of all our rigs. Given a new head, first we start running the fitting process to find the closest approximation to our new neutral mesh within our parametric model. Full face shapes are then generated automatically as part of the process, and we develop a full face authoring system that allows us to update blind shapes in our rig very, very quickly. The procedural poses are automatically transferred and converted to the blind shapes required to build our rig, and in just a matter of minutes, we can create a completely procedural rig. If we're working on a main cast character, this is actually when we will start using the F4D Pro data to supplement the blind shape generated procedurally to have them match exactly the poses captured for our actor. Okay, FaceGen is also can be used for the creation of procedural heads. We can synthesize random faces, and just modifying the coefficients, we can achieve different looks. This is particularly handy, when we need to generate a very large amount of heads in a short amount of time for like background characters or crowds.
Here we see the PCAP session used to capture Elaine's performance for the green light. You can see that this was a full PCAP session where Elaine's body, face, and vocal performance are all captured simultaneously. We utilize 8 technoprop kits with upgraded Wi-Fi cards. Our HMC stage ops can trigger, adjust, fix, and download the data from a session with a dedicated 10 gig switch for offloading. During our last PCAP shoot, we easily captured 1 terabyte of HMC videos. You can also see here that for the green light test, markers were applied to the face. These are not required in DI4D's processing, and we experienced a significant time savings on shoot days going markerless, especially when some scenes included 6 or more actors. DI4D used its Pure 4D solution to process all the facial performance data for both cinematics and in-game content. The stereo camera HMC footage was processed first by reconstructing a raw 3D scan per frame. Then the character mesh is tracked through the sequence similar to the way in the Pro data, but using a machine learning model to reduce the amount of manual cleanup required and increase throughput. This was essential as 4 hours of facial animation were required for our game. The final step of processing is to solve the track data to the actor's PCA model derived from the Pro data. This increases fidelity, reduces noise, and improves data consistency. DI4D also provided eye and teeth tracking.
All right, so this slide shows the QC tools that DI4D use to check that the data is faithfully represented the actor's performance. In order to evaluate how faithful the animation is to the actor's facial performance, DI4D produces split sequences superimposing HMC footage with the animation. One of the key advantages of using digital doubles and a 4D capture pipeline is that this becomes an objective process, where the facial animation can be evaluated objectively against the actor's facial performance. This contrasts with a pipeline where the actor's performance is retargeted to a different character, which becomes a much more subjective process. The digital double pipeline puts more emphasis on capturing the performance, opposed to messing with things in post or having an animator trying to translate the actor's performance after the fact. Have a look at the take number here. I mean, we're already at take 13. So now we can focus, on capturing the performance that we want to put in game with our actor. And actors actually respond very well to this workflow because they know that the performance will be faithfully reproduced in game.
Our 4D performance data is a point cache that represents our actor's performance but has no semantic meaning. And playing a point cache during runtime can be very expensive with respect to file size. To give semantic meaning to this performance, we solve our rig's animation parameters to reconstruct the target 4D performance data. In doing so, we give final creative control to the animation team. The animator can modify the performance post-capture as needed or where directed. Since this is a performance-based pipeline, if radical changes are requested to the performance and/or dialogue, we would just go back to the stage and shoot. This also allows us to better manage the memory footprint in game while maintaining high fidelity deformations.
All right, for Alejandro, we initially built the rig with the shapes from the light stage, and the data from the light stage is great, especially for shading. But since our system captures just one high resolution pose at a time, this can be limiting, when it comes to identify the transition between different facial expressions. With one pose at a time, we basically have the neutral, we have the pose, and then we can just blend linearly between the two. With the DI4D data, the DI4D data allowed us to see how the face move, from a neutral to a specific pose with all the in-betweens, and also observe the co-articulation of different poses in the pangrams. So using the solver, now we can process all animation captured with the DI4D during the DI4D procession directly on our rig. And this brings us to the validation step that has been instrumental to improve the quality of our in-game deformations. So being able to compare the output from the solver on our rig to the 4D cache provided by the DI4D, that is our ground truth that you can see in the center of the screen, allowed us to evaluate where the rig was not capable to replicate with high accuracy specific facial expression or combination of poses. So with the tools that we wrote, it's actually very easy and super fast to update the rig. So we can even take a frame directly from the 4D reconstruction, from the DI4D, and ingest it into our rig. We have a full set of automatic regionalization, masking, and splitting tools. So now we can keep iterating between adjusting the poses and resolving the validation sequence over and over if needed to ensure that the error is minimized.
So we needed to make sure our solution was scalable in order to solve 4 hours of data for the game. These green light tests are intended to be stress tests, and that's exactly what it did here. we quickly learned that solving a minute plus of performance capture can take quite a bit of time. It's also pretty risky to solve long takes of dialogue on a single piece of hardware. You're essentially putting all your eggs in one basket. You can imagine solving thousands of frames only to have a catastrophic hardware issue on the last one. So in order to de-risk the process and speed around the turnaround time, we process everything in parallel and we automated the system. Once the data is delivered and ingested into our pipeline, an automation task is triggered. This automation task chunks the solver into smaller tasks based on the length of the 4D performance, approximately 200 frame chunks. Then these tasks are solved in parallel and the results are merged into one set of coefficients that the rig can evaluate. Now, instead of experiencing a production delay due to any potential catastrophic failures, if a small chunk goes down, it's easy to just resubmit that task back to our farm. After all these chunks are processed and the results are merged, the products of our automated system are a MWII file that's fully editable and contains the 4D performance as reference, a validation movie that Bernardo just described, where we heat map the difference between the resulting solve and the 4D performance to validate our deformations, and animation curve data from the animator to quickly integrate the performance into their shots and test it out, all of which are automatically checked into P4 at the final stage of this automation, and a notification is also sent out to our team. Blend shapes can be expensive at runtime and do not scale well with respects to multi-platform developments, and more specifically on lower end platforms, especially when your facial rig has over 300 plus high-resolution blend shapes. Looking to deliver the same level of fidelity to lower-end platforms as we can achieve on higher ones, we decided to leverage smooth skin decomposition to reduce the computational overhead and make this possible. In our approach, we compress the authored blend shape data by finding the optimal set of skin weights that reconstructs our deformations given a fixed set of bones, thus encoding the authored blend shapes into a lower dimensional state that the engine can easily scale well over numerous platforms.
Right here, we're comparing the bone-driven mesh with the blend shape data. You can see that the error is actually very minimal. We also have to remember that high-frequency details will be represented by wrinkle maps, with our, shader in game. So the two meshes in engine are almost indistinguishable.
As you can see here, our new pipeline offers some significant advantages. For asset creation, what normally took 3 weeks now only takes 1 day. And even after the 3 weeks, we still lacked a validation process for that step. Facial animation, what took 2 weeks now only takes about 3 days. In our old method, we experienced a number of inconsistencies stemming from subjective interpretation of key components and the ad hoc nature of managing these components. In our new method, we remove this interpretation and let the artist focus on making meaningful improvements rather than subjectivity or fixing problems.
Involving the military in counter-narcotics was a mistake. They take what they learn and become narcos. Like her. Ex-military. Special Tactics Force, red team. I was blue. Oh, the wild ones. They called us los vaqueros. And you were clean cut. Señores y señoras. Until the raid on the son of La Araña. Her team was supposed to cordon off the city to keep out La Araña's men. That's exactly what they did. They kept out his enforcers because they were his enforcers. You disgraced the army. Tus hermanos. Las almas need soldiers, not sicarios. I'm not doing this. Fuck! I'm not making a deal with her, and I advise you don't either. It won't end well.
So we conclude this presentation with a slide that illustrates some of the key points of our process. From left to right is our in-game rendered performance capture. In the middle, the HMC footage of the actor, and all the way on the right is the performance capture retargeted to our facial asset. We'd like to thank everyone who contributed to the overall development cycle of Modern Warfare 2, and a special thanks to everyone at CT and IW who contributed to this particular effort. And thank you for coming to our talk.
Yeah, I think we have a few minutes for some Q&A if someone is interested.
Hello, great talk. I have a question for the PCA you mentioned. Did you use PCA to extract the fact shapes, or basically you have the fact shape but using PCA to get another compact data set?
Is this with respect to the pure 4D performance?
Yes.
So the PCA data is decomposed so that it can be easily solved. So when you decompose the information with PCA, it sets it up into a better mathematical space for it to be solved.
Right, but my question is like, so for example, you have like 200 frames block. So you basically solve every 200 frames, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we solve every 200 frames with handles, and then the results are merged across those handles.
Oh, okay. But finally, you're gonna solve for the fact shapes for each head, right?
Yeah, or not necessarily the fact shapes, but the control rig, the coefficients for the controls.
Oh, okay. I have another question. Sorry, for skin decomposition, I see. Could you share how many drones you use, or?
For higher end platforms, around 300.
Okay.
And then for lower end, what was it?
117.
Okay, and then how many is the inference perverts?
8.
8 inference perverts. Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, similar questions. Can you go back to the slides of the SSD process of the bonds? The generated so I see some kind of like a red point. Is that like a generated bonds, right? So it looks kind of symmetric on. Sorry, probably something on the video, but it looks kind of this one. It looks kind of symmetric. So do you have any trick? It's asymmetric.
It's completely asymmetrical.
Yeah, okay. Okay, this one.
Yeah, everything is based on the ships from the actors. So if the actors are not symmetrical, so yeah.
Okay, thank you. Oh, this one. All right.
Thank you.
Hi. On the kind of rig creation side, you kind of mentioned that you start off with a neutral mesh and then you kind of do a procedural kind of blend shape transfer from an existing rig. Can you talk a little bit about like the character specific and like at what stage do you wrap? Do you get that from the 4D data? Do you have another skin session of kind of how many shapes to kind of fill out the kind of identity of a rig?
We start with FaceGen, so all the shapes that we have in FaceGen, that is the system that builds the procedural rig, come from the live stage. So we have a huge library. I mean, we've been using for over 10 years, right? So, and then, once we're done, with those shapes, then we capture, if we have a hero character, we will have a specific session just for the hero character. And we will do both live stage and the F4D capture the same day. Okay. So I have all the data set, available to supplement the shapes and make sure that they match perfectly, basically.
How long is that process for the kind of unique character? Because you mentioned it's like one day to get an asset out, but I'm assuming for a hero character.
It's actually, if I have all the validation data already available, so I have all the pro data from the F4D, a couple of days is enough. Okay. Because it's just a few minutes per pose, basically, to validate on the farm. So I can see, I can basically, work on the pose, run it on the farm. Does it look good or not? I go back, tweak it, rerun it, and I can see,
But there's like blend shape cleanup and wrapping and like getting a scan to actually get into, but
Do you have like a blend shape team that does that, or like?
No.
Okay.
I'm the only person actually doing it. Yeah.
So you do all the wrapping yourself, and okay, cool. All right, thanks. Great talk.
Thanks.
Hello. You mentioned green light for your HMCs, right? What is the benefit you see with the green light versus, like, say, infrared or natural light?
A green light is just the name we
Oh, it's
give,
the
like
name.
an internal test.
Okay.
It's not necessarily like to do with lighting. It's
Gotcha.
yeah.
So you guys using like a more like a LED, like bright natural light, or
Are you saying for the HMC
for the
rig?
HMCs? Yeah.
It's just what is it called? It's just visible light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, for sure.
I'll try to do quick. Hi guys, great talk and great work. Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you struggle capturing depth performance of lips and jaws using one camera? And how did you find corresponding maybe blend shapes from facts to the actually final result?
So we start with the pro data from the F4D. So the capture is not just, from 2 cameras. There are 8 cameras. So we have a much, better reconstruction of the depth. And we capture a bunch of poses and sequences, to get all the...
Even during the performance, like when actor performs?
The performance comes, the performance is just with the 2 cameras.
2 cameras.
But since we have such a huge data set that was captured previously, and we cover pretty much every possible deformation of the face, we are able to basically fit, the performance in our PCA space. And
okay, thanks again.
I think in regards of editability, are you solving directly to all the shapes on the rig, or is there a rig logic layer that drives combinations in betweens?
Yeah, we solved the coefficients that drive the rig logic layer.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.